The government targets average GDP growth of about 6.4%, driven by key productive sectors such as agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and tourism, all aimed at enhancing productivity and positioning Zambia competitively in regional and global markets. We are now talking to an economist and progressive researcher into this topic. Kelvin Chisanga is in studio with us. Mr. Chisanga, good morning and welcome to the Diamond Breakfast.
Good morning. Thank you so much. So it's a pleasure being here.
Nice to have you here. Let's start off on this note with you just elaborating to us what government really means when it says Zambia is aiming for middle income status by 2030.
Okay, so middle income status is basically translating to some levels of benchmark that we are trying to underscore, especially when you look at the human capital development as well as physical performance and just overall the economic structure. Obviously, what this entails to say is that we are basically looking at a bare minimum that need to be undertaken in terms of trying to gauge with the required standards. Obviously, for us to stamp out poverty line or poverty levels, we need to come up with some levels of measurable target. And this is what is actually speaking into that direction. And it's by the way, also a measuring tape for the authorities to see if they are performing to the expectation of the masses, as well as even just the expectation of the standard. So it's an important aspiration that has to be quietly and tightly anchored from that perspective.
With 2030, 4 years away, which sectors are expected to contribute, to this growth? Where do we see a lot of opportunity and maybe money coming from?
Okay, so already we've seen some stabilization of some sort. Maybe the key pointer here is that we've got a macroeconomic stability which is actually anchored there. The balancing up of key fundamental factors and also trying to work around a target line in most of the variables like inflation, exchange market, and all that. Those are stimulating to basically give that growth enhancement, mechanism, where we are even able to see that. Remember, Zambia used to import even smallest thing like Panadol. We are basically now trying to manufacture it in the local market. We are basically also manufacturing fertilizer. So all those are steps gravitating to what we should be able to see. So what we are basically putting forth here is a fundamental baseline to ensure that Zambia start producing from the manufacturing as a target line. And obviously, we understand that even if it happens on the side of the mining sector, which has quite remained buoyant, we are all, seeing some of this scaling down into some positive development. And what we see also is that our structural reforms are also speaking in those directions, trying to create that a conducive atmosphere, which is actually giving birth to some positive element, as we see. Even if we seem to have capital-intensive, sectors, which are now basically giving that substantial effect to the GDP profile, we need now to go down to agriculture, manufacturing, which are also getting more employment absorption. Once we get to that level, I think we should be able to see some of the things working out in our perfect order. And this is what we are trying to, anticipate happening anytime soon.
Okay. Now, with you mentioning more agricultural production, let's also narrow it down now to how it will benefit the ordinary Zambian.
Okay, obviously, once we get to have high numbers in employment, we are speaking of disposable income, we're speaking of some scalable way of managing lifestyle, and we're also speaking of having good effect. Even when you look at what is happening, we are contrasting in a way where we've got a population growth rate of 3.2, and then the economic growth is standing at average about 4.5 to 5%. We need to reach a point where we can actually double the number of the population growth. Then we'll be able now to speak the potential growth of what we should be able to drive. And again, if you look at the wage growth as well, we're talking about 2%, which is not something that is working out in a best way. And that's the reason why we seem to have a lag in terms of economic health as well as poverty line. So what we need to do to consolidate all these things, we need first to put more police efforts, ensure that we moderate good police medicine around, key sectors that have actually earmarked, like you mentioned, agriculture, mining, tourism, and manufacturing. These are priority sectors that need to be anchored with the positive development in terms of trying to make sure that they are posting positive growth margin all the time. Even when it comes to per annum performance, they should be able to give that substantial effect as well, so that it can have a spillover effect toward some of the elements that we see in poverty situation.
With this trajectory that we are on, I mean, how do you also see translating into investment, into especially filling the gaps where the manufacturing sector is concerned? I mean, the call also is for Zambia to produce more, but we can't produce more if we don't have the infrastructure, if we don't have the investors, if we're not filling up those gaps to say, okay, we need to produce this product. We need, I mean, even with just copper, for example, we're not even making or producing cables, copper cables on a large scale. We are ordering them from China.
Okay, I will agree with you to some extent, but what I was able to say is that we are in the process of transition in so many key factors.
Right.
You see, Zambia used to import even chips made from potatoes. So right now, we cannot import chips from South Africa. We've made the transition and change. We've made transition and change even in agriculture now. We are the best seed producer in the region. So a lot of good stories are turning up. The growth pattern of Zambia's economic narrative has now given that positive vibrating energy. And what we are able to see also is that we of course, we seem to be going slow, but the challenge also seeming to come on the structural arrangement, not on the statistical issues. What we should be able to work out is maybe we also need to moderate our politics, so that there must be consistency in the policy framework, even when there seems to be a change of government, even when there seems to be change of political collectors as well. So I think it's borders from that point. When we look at the Vision 2030 and the National Development Plan 80 in particular, which is actually even coming to an end this year, we need to look at things that can actually be able to drive production from the early primary resource sectors, especially when it comes to agriculture, going to value addition, mining, going to value addition. I think we'll be able to anchor something substantially good based from there.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, one fear people have had, I know now there seems to be a bit of stabilization with electricity supply. With all these goals that we're highlighting, how important is it for this electricity supply, this seemed stabilization around energy to continue?
Okay, so this is something that we should be able to see, taking this positive shape, because obviously we're at a point where even when we are the energy deficit or the efficient in the economy, I think we should be able to post a very good substantial effect on the GDP profile, and we can stabilize some of the key fundamentals. This actually even speaks directly to physical obligations. When we are performing very well, definitely, even when it comes to social welfare, education and health, and many other sectors that are actually looking forward to be serviced by the budget, will be able to be implemented very well. And that is what actually speaks from there. And not only that, also, even the aspect of interplay in the market, where if you are an SME and you are basically playing it whole, you'll be able to have free space to operate. When you are under in a situation where the economy is not doing very well, you will be subject to a number of taxation processes, which will be able now to make you fail. Even similarly, it comes also to the investors. When investors is actually in the market and the economy is not performing very well, it becomes relatively difficult. So it's important that there must be that consistency of power supply. And I'm sure even it can get a good effect where you are learning adverts throughout the times, people are coming to advertise with you. You mean you have also disposable income which will be extensionally come from the company or any operating outfit.
Mr. Sanga, thank you so much for joining us on the Diamond Breakfast.
My pleasure being here. Thank you.
We've been talking to economist and progressive researcher, Mr. Kelvin Chisanga, just talking on the growth strategy as getting to middle income by 2030 and what needs to be done. Well, we will end on that note. We end this conversation on that note, but bringing you something exciting coming from Winteriors for all your furniture needs. You know Winteriors is where to turn to. You can also look them up on social media. Follow them there. If you have more inquiries, you can contact them or look up inspiration for what you would want next. But also soon we'll bring you news on the go as the Minister of Education will be announcing the grade 12 results. Well, we end the Diamond Breakfast on that note. On behalf of my co-host Malama Mukwege,